And I've also seen some sustaining members in the audience tonight. Thank you for that. More and more organizations, of course, are asking for sustaining memberships, and we all know why, so we really appreciate that. Are we live now? Okay, great. Well, welcome to those of you who are joining us via our Facebook live stream. Welcome to Searle's Place. We were just giving some local announcements, but now we're to the program at hand. We are so excited. This residency is one of the residencies that has been cooking for longer than many other residencies. And it all started back when I was meeting with this beautiful woman here, Jessica Joy, about an upcoming production called Classical Queens Our Time. And I heard the music and was blown away. And one of my other hats is Story Night, and we were doing a production called Starry Story Night, The Big Dipper. And I just flat out stalked Jessica Joy and would see her at other people's gatherings and be like, hey, do you think we could get some musicians and could we get that music? Could we do excerpts from that music? And so we used that in the show. And then originally we were hoping to bring Cassidy during that production in January of this year that was at the Morrison Center. The timing didn't quite work out for that. So we were like, you know what, actually it might be even better if we just extend that relationship so it doesn't all happen all at once, but we bring Cassidy in, let's say, 7 months after the event. And so the musicians that are here tonight are from Classical Queens, and in fact, Sarah has joined us from Portland. She flew in to be part of this weekend, which is super exciting, and KeAndra and Jessica are part of the main crew here locally, and Cassidy has also brought us some very special audience members, including her beau and her parents, who are sitting back here. And everyone came in from Texas, is that right? Yes. Yeah, okay. The Texas is in the house tonight. All right. So Siobhan Cassidy Robinson, as you will soon see or maybe already know, is an astonishingly talented composer. But now we're also going to see and hear how amazing she is on her instrument, the cello. She actually started training in visual art, so Searle's Place feels like an even more appropriate place for her to be because she's surrounded by visual art energy. And earlier this month, she led a workshop called Color Your Brain, but which color? And at least 2 of us were there for that workshop. And my brain is still getting colored. Sometimes it changes during the day. She graduated cum laude from Berklee College of Music. Yeah. She has a particular interest in composing for film, for stage, and just for the joy of it, I guess. So she's tonight's music is intended as a full stage production, but to give you a little sense, and Cassie's gonna say a little bit about it in a second, but we invited another special guest tonight, actress here, local in town, film producer, theater extraordinaire, Zoe Kelly, who is going to inhabit Celine Dubois tonight, to give you just a little bit of a flavor of the characters that the music is representing. But to set up the show for you and to get our evening started off, please give a big welcome to Cassidy.
Thank you everyone for being here. We are so excited. We, as I heard too, are really, really excited to show y'all this, all right? This was literally my senior year English project. It was to create a 10-minute play, and it was Des Motif. It was pretty much a big ripoff of Phantom of the Opera, all right? me and my best friend, Mr. Fletcher Rudd, hey Fletcher, I said I would shout you out, all right? He actually is the one that came up with the title, so it has always been Des Motif since that time, all right? And I told him one day that I would have to reproduce it because, as unserious as we were, we thought it was a really, really, really good plot. And so the plot is this big-time director is getting ready to unveil his play, Des Motif, set in New York in the 1960s. All right, and what's happening is actors and patrons and community members around the theater and within the theater are showing up dead or missing because the composer slash music director of the show is killing them off to get inspiration for his pieces, right? Yes, that is what we did when we were 17 years old. And so we're gonna have Miss Zoe Kelly narrate as Celine Dubois, his love interest that keeps him from writing these pieces. And so it stands a question, so what's gonna happen to this big play, all right? Does he just keep killing everyone? Does he finish his last song? What? And pretty much it's a big metaphor for what I've gone through as a creative person. So it's a story about love, heartbreak, and toxic creativity, and all the times I lost my mind trying to, pursue this career, something that we can all probably relate to if you're a creator in the creative industry. So without further ado, this is Des Motif.
Mes amis, good evening. I cannot begin to tell you how excited I am to share something with you truly special tonight. Premiering at the F.J. Anderson Theatre, October 25th, 1965. Our fearless and ambitious director, Theodore Teddy Blackwood, is about to unleash his boldest production yet, Death's Motif. It's a story of love that refuses to die, of heartbreak, of madness, and of the creativity that will ruin you. I'm Celine Dubois, and once upon a time, you may know, I was that girl on the stage with the lights and the standing ovations, but then, well, life had other plans. But this is my return, yes, and for Teddy, this is his moment to be seen. Tonight, we will lift the curtain, just a little, just to give you a taste of what is coming. So stay close. You don't want to miss what happens next. Beneath the glittering surface of theater, something far more sinister is unfolding. This is Death's Motif. He is simply thrilled to unveil his newest work, that's Motif. It's a haunting yet beautiful production. It whispers that the deeper you love, the more your mind begins to unravel. Teddy has poured years of his soul into perfecting his vision, all the while trusting fate and God's divine timing to lead him to this moment. Oh, and his dearest friend, the ever elegant Florence Adler, who manages the theater with such boys, has been wonderfully generous in giving him this stage to bring his dream to life. And, well, as for me, I am so deeply touched that Teddy chose me for the lead. And, I mean, you know, after, well, everything that happened, when the world had nearly disposed of me, I stepped onto this stage again. And he welcomed me with open arms. And for that I will forever be grateful. Oh, this is Teddy's song, I Am Dreaming. Mon Dieu, what a man, brilliant beyond belief. A true genius at the piano, but there was always something about him that didn't quite sit right. A kind of a shadow that was always just behind him. He's a man of secrets, wrapped in silence, always drifting just out of reach. Around the theater, there's this strange, unsettling energy, and somehow Edward is always right in the middle of it. He keeps to himself, never mingles, never smiles. You'll find him locked away in that eerie little basement studio of his where the light barely touches. He doesn't appear until something dreadful has happened. Another disappearance, another terrible tragedy, staff, actors, friends gone. And now, of all things, he cannot finish his composition. His magnum opus, he calls it, and without it, the entire production, it's a risk. Everything's unraveling. People are whispering, wondering what is going on. And Edward is fraying at the edges. You can see it in his eyes. It's as if he's asking himself night after night, what is becoming of me? Blackwood, Teddy's wife, radiant and just as fiercely ambitious as he is. Though, if I'm being honest, and I always am, we did not begin as fast friends. No. Vivian, oh, wow, she was hurt, deeply, when Teddy didn't cast her as the lead in his production. Instead, he chose me. And so, all the pain, all that quiet fury that she couldn't speak to her husband about, it came to me. And I became the target of her bitterness, her disappointment. But over time, we began to understand one another. I saw her, and eventually she saw me. You see, what Vivian never quite grasped, not at first, was how much the scandal destroyed me. It wasn't even my doing, and yet I was the one blacklisted, discarded, forgotten. Audition after audition, slanders, silence, threats in the mail, and it It was really as though the entire city had turned their back on me. Until now. Finally, I've been given another chance to reclaim the only thing I truly loved. The stage. If she only knew, truly knew, what it took for me to get back here. But I can feel for her too. I can. It must ache, being constantly overlooked, watching someone else live the dreams that you fought for, cried for, prayed for. That kind of pain can harden a person. Still, we are not enemies. No, Vivian and I, we're two women bound by music and longing, fire. Together we will sing. Even if the world jeers, even if the lights dim and the critics sneer, nothing will break us. This is our song, if only you knew. The final moments, a tapestry of melodies, each one breathing life into the souls of our story. Teddy, Edward, Vivian, and myself. These aren't just notes or lines on the page. No. They are echoes of who we are and what this piece has come to mean. I only hope that I have honored it well, because this is not merely a play. It's a testimony, an experience, a reckoning, a glimpse into the storm one must endure to create. It asks, what happens when passion teeters into madness, when creativity once so bright becomes a poison in your veins, when ambition, sweet ambition, begins to rot into obsession, and worse still, when your dreams, your life's purpose, threaten to slip through your fingers. What then? Do you surrender? Do you cling to faith? But tell me, what is faith when darkness closes in? When evil whispers sweet nothings in your ear and steals your light? When every prayer echoes back empty? Where is God in all of this? Perhaps that is your final question. Preview of dance Motif. What a journey it has been, and this is only the beginning. Our full production premieres at the F. Anderson Theatre on the evening of October 25th, 1965, promptly at 7, so mark your calendars. This is not a show you'll want to miss, not in this lifetime. And now we bid you good night. May your hearts be full, your minds stirred, and may the Lord bless you, each and every one. A bientôt.
Merci, Celine Dubois. Merci beaucoup. I have a feeling we'd get some interesting stories if I asked you where you were in 1965. On October 25th. Yes, those vibrations are going to stay in here for a long time. The house is filled with the beautiful music, and the storm has continued to brew behind you, which is lovely as well. I forgot to mention before that this couldn't have happened without support from Create West, and the National Endowment for the Arts. We spent the money before they could take it back. And for more music, also please join us at the Visual Arts Collective on Saturday night. We're bringing back, so a few years ago, the spot that Cassidy is in now is filled by Reed Wilms, who is a folk singer, and she wrote her first song in Searle's Place, and just recorded it, and it's just the first time that it's been on an album, and they'll be performing that song and a lot of others with her creative partner, Caleb Cloucher, and that happens at 8 o'clock at the back. But we wanted, in the Searle's Place tradition, we wanted to take a little bit of time to just offer a little moment for you to ask a question about, first of all, isn't it remarkable that all this music was written in like the last 22 days? So it was quite an undertaking. I'm not sure you left the house very much. I met her, I think, 2 days into the residency, and she had already written about 60 measures, and not only written it, but scored it for the 4 instruments already as well. So that was a quick amount of work. Of course, one of the big questions that's going to be in our head is, what was the scandal that took down Celine? She won't sell us. Well, thank goodness that you recovered and have your places. All right, any questions for any of our musicians, and particularly for Cassidy, something you'd like to know about how you go about an undertaking like this?
Undertaking?
Yeah. Yes. Or just Motif. Yeah.
It certainly feels like your music matches the story so well. So, it seems like you were incredibly inspired by the story.
I wanted, so pretty much, with it being like a parallel of my life, I wanted to be like the brightest, darkest musical that has been in it. So it's supposed to be represented as like Hollywood. Is it noir? That's like the appropriate time. Back then, that age of Hollywood, right? But there's some darkness going on, because while I was able to still show up positively in my life, I was still battling trying to get this career off the ground, and it's hard. Like we all know it's hard to pursue a creative career, and so that's kind of the direction I was going for, like bright, pretty, but like with some darkness.
You mentioned, or somebody mentioned, toxic creativity. Is there something in the process that's changed that you're feeling better about?
Well, considering that the composer in this story kills people, right? That's very my pursuing sometimes felt like an obsession that was eating me alive. There's a whole story even to me just getting this residency, and so toxic creativity that turns into obsession in both this version, right, with what he's doing, he's not healthy, and then what's happening in real time.
So since this is the second oeuvre that you three have performed that has been written by Cassidy, are there any things that you notice between the two works that either are new or that feel familiar, or what was it like to play in both Our Time and also in Death's Motif?
For me, I felt both
just so powerful the composer's energy in the music, and how her instrumentation for the strings or for other instruments are so smartly put together, so it's very effective in when it's come out. And when we first rehearsal this, we didn't have any really discussion about notation or much of the instrumentation, and then everything feels really just already there to perform. That's rare in composers. But I know other composers, they have to adjust to see how it sounds like, and to change something. But it seems like she just have everything that she wants. It's really like she knows how it sounds. Seems like in her brain, and that's very easy to work with. As a player, and I always feel so inspired of how much energy this young lady put it out into the world, and I get inspired as a player. So I feel I want to put my understanding of the music and out to the audience to let other people resonate with her music. That's what I just feel so inspired every time.
Well,
In different way.
that certainly happens when you were playing the soaring high melodies. It felt as if your violin grabbed a part of my soul and just pulled up with it, and I found myself floating above you, like really lovely.
Thank you.
Yeah. KeAndra?
For me, one of the similarities was how all the lines just pass through each other so smooth, and I feel like that's a really nice part about playing her music, is that we can come together that way because our lines are being passed so smoothly. We didn't really have to talk about it or do the most about it, we can just pass to each other and feel each other with her music. So I feel like I don't get that a lot.
And sometimes you see it physically pass.
Yeah.
Like you can watch it
It feels
go
like
from
it's
one,
coming out of my
yeah, go
chest.
from one instrument to the other.
Or to something,
Yeah.
And I definitely love that in our time as well.
Yeah, I think for me, when I was thinking about part-time and trying to create part-time, I wanted to find someone who could share a life and share a story and share feelings, including my feeling, just through me telling them what I was trying to convey. And I thought that Cassidy always did that so perfectly and so beautifully. And I remember when I first got music for our time, I think I just sat in my car and I cried because it was so inspiring and moving to just like to see my heart on a page, and we didn't even know each other. You know what I mean? That was really beautiful, and it's conveyed as well within her work and her story for herself, and I love that. Yeah.
I think if composers have little keys, I've maybe heard a couple. One of them is the yeah da 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 da.
That's her key.
Is that yours?
Yeah,
That's a Cassiism?
Yes, that's the new Cassidy motif. These, how do I say it? What I wrote for Classical Queens is the melodies in this, because it was, so pretty much this all started from a church melody. Like I used to play in a church like a couple years ago, and literally what was written on the page was ba-dum, ba-da-da-da-da-dum. I use that a lot in Classical Queens. But at the time, I was really thinking it to be like a sad musical number, and it's like, okay, now that's it. This is what this is for. So that's like my new favorite thing. Something like that.
Yeah.
So, I'm sorry. Did you have them in your mind when you're composing? Did you say, oh, she's gonna love doing this?
Yes. So
Cool.
Edmund's song, the third movement, I intentionally made that for Viola.
Yeah.
And then the duet between Vivian and Celine, the fourth movement was I gave all of the melody at some point. Right? I have to be baseline, so there's only certain times I got to play the melody, but they did amazing. They did so amazing. So yeah, I really definitely made a Edward song with Viola feature. Oh yes.
So you're a visual artist first. When you started doing music, or currently, when you dream, do you dream in colors and shapes with music in your mind?
Yeah. So when I was younger, I was a drawer. Like I was that kid known to draw. You know, sometimes I get in trouble for it. You know, my mom can attest to that. But they still encouraged me to use it. So for a long time, I wanted to get into animation. That was later, but I joined orchestra in 5th grade, and then I started getting serious about it in middle school, and then that just kind of set everything in motion. But definitely, my foundation being in visual art helps me shape things because I can see rhythms like I know exactly what that looks like. So it's easy for me to propose. I'm a very visual person, so I'm a visual and hands-on learner, so that helps. Someone else raise their hand?
Oh,
Yes.
I was just gonna ask a more boring kind of tactical question. How do you guys all get together to play? Because it doesn't sound like you're all living in the Treasure Valley.
Well, I don't. It's just something about being a musician. Like, you know, I've been playing cello for 20 years. They've been playing just as long or longer, right? Yeah. So you just get used to it, and it's just like a feeling that gets passed around. We only rehearsed this twice, but it's like,
wow.
Yeah, like this is easy. We can do this in our sleep. Like it's just that easy. Like we just feel each other and we see how we're non-verbally communicating with each other when we're looking. Like we're feeling that, and we know how to adjust. But that comes with being a professional. You know, my students back home, you know, that's something they're still working on. So it does take time for your second heartbeat to be a metronome, right?
I think a bonus was already having played Cassidy's music before, we kind of have an idea what we're getting ourselves into. And then just us sharing a story kind of gives us the heart to play together better, I think, too.
So when you say home, where is your home?
Texas, Arlington, Texas.
Okay, but you went to Boston for college.
Yeah, I went to UTD for a few semesters, and then decided that I needed to be somewhere else. And Berkeley and Boston was the last place I thought I would end up. Because sophomore year, I was like, I want to go to Juilliard, but I'm just a really ambitious person. I wanted to go far away from home. Yeah. And and it ended up working out better than I thought because I actually did not get into UT, and that was like one of the worst days of my life.
Oh.
And so it really just speaks to, you know, that God has other plans. There was a little bit of a redirection, but I'm grateful for my time at UTD. Like I did like a lot of spiritual work there, and I went to Berkeley when I was ready. So and it worked
Berkeley's
out.
I went to school at Northeastern down the road.
Oh yeah.
And
they were there too.
I remember Berkeley School of Music. It was it just had stuff going on all the time.
So I think we have a question from this side of the room. Yes.
One kind of for parents and for Cassidy. As a parent, what did you all do to help support her on her journey? And if there's like a memory of something that sparked your memory that you remember, this is when my parents like showed me or gave me the opportunity to pursue like, the joy of whatever it is that she wanted to do.
Notice that she sent her kid out of the room before she asked.
For me, so she gets the ambition from me. I have to admit, she got it the right way. I knew that growing up, I wanted to do something that I loved, and I know that when you love what you do, A, you don't worry about the money, and B, the passion and fun will always be there, so you'll never feel like you're working. So I told her in 5th grade, Cassidy only wanted to go to orchestra camp because all of her friends were there. And it was like $400 for the camp. And I was like, we're not gonna spend $400 for you to go and go off with your friends. And she never, and this is how she sounded. She hardly picked up the cello. And we made her a deal. We said, if you practice consistently over the next year, you will go to orchestra camp. We'll pay for you to go to orchestra camp. And she never missed a camp after that. She became consistent and she started doing it. And when she wanted to go, I remember her mentioning she wanted to go to Berkeley. If you know anything about Berkeley, like, it's an investment. It's a huge investment.
Oh, yeah.
And I said to her, I will make you a deal again. If you stick with music that you say you so passionately love, I'll pay for your education. But if you change and do anything else, I want all my money back.
In addition to that, all right, shout out to my middle school orchestra teachers. We have something called chair tests, and I was not gonna sit in the back. So, and one of my old friends always kept getting first chair, and I was so determined to beat him. I finally beat him on our last chair test of the year. So I literally went from like 6th chair, I stayed 2nd chair, and then I finally got to 1st chair, and that really, I'm like, oh, I'm in this, I'm gonna beat everybody. And then that followed into 8th grade, and then in high school. And I also had like all my best friends, I'm still best friends with, because we were all in orchestra together. Not all of them continued with orchestra, but the majority of them, like my best friend from high school that helped, create this, he's an orchestra teacher back home. We all run a camp together, we run a community orchestra, so the majority of my friends, we're still like in it, and that's what's also kind of kept us like, keep playing, because we want to be with each other. So it's also a community thing, and then you get to meet people along the way. So
Was this the most concentrated time of composition for you as a composer? I know you often have to mix teaching, performing with composition, but have you had other times where you've been able to just write music spontaneously?
yeah, this and Classical Queens, like this was probably a little bit more intense because I only had 20 days. Oh my God, I told them I'm taking a break after this. But even when I did her show, it took like 4 or 5 minutes to do 20 tracks. Oh yeah, my brain was like dead after that. But yeah, you just gotta keep going. I'm pretty much like sketching things. When I first started writing this, I'm like, oh my God, it sounds terrible. But once I got to the 3rd movement and heard everything from the beginning, I'm like, it doesn't sound bad. And those are also computer instruments. They don't capture the same depth as this. So it sounds completely different than what I had in mind whenever we started rehearsing.
And is the idea that some of the melodies that we hear in the strings as the production develops, that there would be sung lyrics on top of it?
So those middle sections, Teddy's song, so there's some lyrics. I have like some planned lyrics and I've been writing to them. So you can remember in the first movement, my idea for that is, people say, Teddy, hey, what are you thinking? Like stuff like that. For Edward's thing, it consumes all of me. What has become of me? Like, so I have some lyrics like planned out, and that's kind of what helped me write it. But like the first and ending sections passes some of those melodies like in variation. So yeah, most of it is based off of lyrics I have in my head.
Wow. Wow.
So writing the piece in such a condensed amount of time news to us as well. But I think that Celine did such a great job of weaving the story. My question is, was your character written to be delivered the way you did, or did you take creative license to present it the way that you did?
It was definitely a collaboration, where I got the script on Monday, and I did some script work with it, and then we met yesterday and we did a dress rehearsal, and we had a conversation a little bit about like her backstory, the scandal, kind of like what the direction I was going. She was really great to collaborate too, because she was like, let's see what you have, and like let me bring some creative freedom to it, and then like help me fine tune stuff along the way. So yeah. Great collaboration.
There was another fun moment when we asked for submissions from actors in town, and I forwarded them to Cassidy, and she saw Zoe's headshot and went, "She's perfect."
She is perfect. She's Celine really helped us get into it. Celine is supposed to be like an Americanized New Yorker, but she's of French descent, right? So think like French actresses in the 60s, a little bit of Sharon Tate, if she was French, you know? That's like the idea that I kind of, I saw a hint.
Lou.
Well, Jody, sitting here and having been here since the beginning, and I think this is transformative. Looking at those paintings, seeing them today much more musically than I've ever seen them.
Oh.
And as I think about the future events that will be playing here, that this work will be echoing in the room. For those of us that have been here, or who get to hear it, that's going to be a sound that's going to be in all of the exhibitions.
Well, thank you for that gift, Cassidy, and thank you to all of our performers tonight. Thank you so much. Please feel